DSP コンテンツカタリスト。
It is called Phil's Day Off, and today I would like to tell you all about what I did yesterday. All right, so on my day off yesterday, essentially it was going to be a more laid-back day. The week before, all right, I had gone out and done a million things. I had a bunch of appointments and different things to do. This week, the good news is I didn't have any of that, all right? But some things kind of came together that I hadn't really planned on originally. And therefore, because of that, I ended up getting a lot of stuff done. And let's talk a little bit about that. So typically on my day off, what do? Well, usually I wake up, spend some time with my family, and then we will make like our grocery list for the week. What meals do we want to have this week? What else do we need for around the house? I'll run out and if I need pet supplies for Jasper, we'll do that. And anything else that I need to get out while I'm out running around, for example, my wife sometimes has orders and things at places I gotta go pick up while I'm out or whatever, odds and ends, maybe you run out of something in the house, let's get it, it's a day off, let's go get it today, right? So really it's an errand day. I run around doing a lot of errands on my day off, but then typically on the one day off from streaming, I get a weekly order out. So that way we don't have to cook. We cook literally every other day, every other meal. So it's nice to not have to cook for one day. So that's one thing that we do. And then anything else that happens during that day. So it just so happens, yesterday was a pretty eventful day, for some good reasons and some not so good. So here's something interesting you may not realize because it really depends on where you live. I have no idea where many of you live because you probably live all over the world, correct? Here in the United States, at least where I live in the state of Washington, and we are considered a green state. Okay, what does that mean? It means that here in our state, we do everything we can to try to be environmentally friendly and economical in that regard. But, recycling is a huge deal. Disposing of certain kinds of things in certain ways is a huge deal. Other places are just throw everything out. Go to a landfill and just throw garbage dump. Just dump everything. We don't do that here. We are very strict on the ways that things are disposed, on the ways that things are separated, all kinds of stuff like that. Okay. So why am I telling you this? Is it because I went on a trip to the garbage dump this week? No, absolutely not. So you guys may be aware of something that happened a few years ago. It was called a pandemic, the COVID pandemic. And when the COVID pandemic happened, it threw a lot of things into disarray. Here in the state of Washington, we are required to separate all of our trash into the following. You ready for this? This is going to be pretty interesting. First of all, you're supposed to have standard trash, but that doesn't include food. So it's supposed to be standard trash, but no food. Okay. Then you have recyclables. Recyclables include cardboard, paper, plastic, glass, but they're all supposed to be fully cleaned off and sorted and separated. Okay. Then you have your compostables, meaning food waste and yard waste and things like that. And you're supposed to put that into a separate thing so that can be composted and for again green purposes. Okay. Then I'm not done. We're not even close to being done. Then there's electronics. You are not allowed to dispose of certain kinds of electronics in the state of Washington. You want to throw out that old PC? Absolutely not. Do you have something that has like a small engine in it? Can't throw it out. I'm not kidding. I have an old TV that busted like from years ago, and that's still in my house. I haven't disposed of it yet because you have to go somewhere special to get rid of electronics. You can't just throw them out. Not allowed here. Okay. But the point I'm actually getting to is kind of interesting. It has nothing to do with any of those. It's the fifth kind of trash. The fifth kind of trash that we have here in the state of Washington, get this, is styrofoam. Yes, styrofoam. That product that's typically used for packaging of something else that's way more important, like an electronic or a piece of glass or whatever, to make sure it doesn't get broken in transit. Okay, so why am I telling you this? Because pre-COVID, my wife and I would regularly go on what we called styrofoam runs. What does that mean? You have to go to a special place that's designated as a styrofoam recycling drop-off facility. And get this, you can't just go and drop styrofoam off. You've got to have styrofoam in special bags, and you can give them the special bags, or you need to dump all your styrofoam, and you have to make sure there's no tape on it. There's nothing else with no cardboard can be included with it. Yeah, it's like, this is what they want in the state. Like, Nothing can be simple. Everything's got to be like the most complex, time-consuming project you could ever think of. That's how they live here. Like, they all have time to do this shit, I guess. Anyway, and so before COVID happened, my wife and I were on top of this. It wasn't a big deal. Maybe every 2-3 months we do a styrofoam run and we drop off one big garbage bag of styrofoam from packages and things that have arrived at the house. And that was that. But during COVID, all of 2022 and into 2020 and into 2021, I got that confused. During 2020 and into 2021, they suspended the styrofoam collection process, stating that it would be too dangerous. All that infectious styrofoam, apparently, right? You can't trust it. So they didn't collect it for like a year and a half. And then sometime in 2021, they basically started to slowly go back. And then by last year, everything was back to normal, all right? But the difference here is that we have basically been thrown out of our rhythm. And I'm not kidding you. You know, that was almost 2 years of collecting styrofoam. We had probably 3 or 4 giant garbage bags of styrofoam saved up. Well, fast forward, we haven't been to do a styrofoam run since before COVID hit. All right? So we had, I'm not shitting you, probably 8 to 9 bags of styrofoam. I'm probably, of all the area in my garage where you can walk around, I'm not shitting you, it's probably about 1/4 of my garage was full of fucking bagged styrofoam. And it just sat there because it just kept increasing more and more. It's like, when am I going to have time to take a day away and go to this styrofoam place with 9 bags of fucking styrofoam and get rid of this? All right. That was yesterday. Yes, I finally did it. I had enough. I was like, dude, this garage is in disarray, because it was. Like, the garage was kind of dirty and other things had been kind of neglected in the garage because half of it was full of styrofoam. I can't do anything till the styrofoam's gone. So I finally had enough. So yesterday I went and I got rid of it all. It was a pain in the ass to lug it all into the car and then lug it all trip after trip out of the car into the place, but I got it done, okay? And so, I'm not kidding you, my garage went from being insanely cluttered to pretty much open. So yesterday, my wife and I spent a good chunk of the day cleaning the garage, you know, sweeping, vacuuming. And the thing was, now this is a weird thing, my garage has ceiling lighting. What is it called? They're not neon tubes, but you know how you have those tube lights that normally would be like at the ceiling of like an office or like a professional workspace, a warehouse. What are those called? Those tube lights. I don't even know what they're called. Okay. But for some odd reason, fluorescent lights, thank you. That's what they're called, fluorescent tubes. That's exactly what they're called. Thank you. I didn't even know the name of them. For some reason, we have those in our garage. No one else where I live has that, but we have it because the previous owners of this home, before I bought it, apparently this home was owned by a guy who was a Alaskan salmon fisherman. So for more than half the year, he didn't live here. He went to Alaska and fished salmon, and he only came back here during certain times of the off-season of fishing. During the time when he wasn't here, he left the house alone with his kids, his teenage kids. So what ended up happening was they just do whatever they wanted, and I guess one of his sons was a car guy. He was heavily into cars. He loved cars and modding cars and doing all this shit to cars, and he turned the garage into an unofficial, likely illegal car modifications bay/chop shop. Okay? Yeah, so our garage is very weird because they did all these things to it the other garages here don't have. First of all, the whole floor's messed up. You could see that cars were in and out of here constantly. You could tell that they were doing oil changes because there's like oil stains and shit all over the floor of the garage. Like, what the hell? Like, this is a private community I live in. You're not allowed to do that. It outright states in the bylaws of the community, you can't operate a business like that out of your garage, having people driving in and out at all hours. It's supposed to be a private residential home. And that's in the bylaws. You live here. So they were outright just ignoring the rules of the community doing this. Okay. So we have a series of 5 different fluorescent bulb lights on the ceiling of our garage. Now, I never messed with them, but it's funny they actually left behind this pack of 12 fluorescent bulbs unused, just sitting in the garage. They've been there for the 9 years I lived here. They just sat there. And over the time that I lived here, there's 2 lights that go on. Whenever I flip the light switch, there's 2 big fluorescent lights that turn on. And over the years, one of them has completely busted and wasn't working. I guess the bulbs have blown out, but I couldn't replace the bulbs because that's where all of the styrofoam was sitting. So until I removed the styrofoam, I couldn't actually fix the things that were broken in the garage. So now that the styrofoam was gone, my wife and I were able to sweep, vacuum, and I went and replaced some of the bulbs. So now the garage actually looks like a livable, usable space for the first time in many, many years. In fact, we just have a few other things. Like we have a couple like old bookcases. We have an old shower stand from our shower that doesn't work anymore. We have a few odds and ends. We have a broken fan that we need to get rid of. And eventually I'm going to take another probably trip to the garage, excuse me, not just take a car garage, another trip to the dump, a special trip to get rid of all that shit. And once all that stuff's done, now we're going to actually do a ceiling to floor cleaning of the garage. We're going to, basically me scrubbing this sucker out. We actually have a hose in the garage. We've never used it before. So probably use the hose to spray the edges of the garage and scrub it all out and just make it ours. Because I've lived here for 9 years and I literally have never used the garage for much besides throwing trash and storing like paper goods and stuff like that. I don't really use it. Finally, I could probably find a reason to use it for something, but I gotta freaking get it cleaned first. So that was a big chunk of my day yesterday, was getting rid of the styrofoam and cleaning the garage. At least I got the bulbs replaced. We did a little bit of, the initial cleanings there. And now what we're waiting on is, I gotta take another trip to the dump to get rid of the rest of the shit. And then once it's completely cleaned out, then we can actually fully clean it and maybe start using it for other things. Just all these things you talk about over the years, but you never got around to it. Maybe now we could finally get around to it. Okay. So I guess we'll see what happens here. So that was half of my day. Of course, I went out, I did grocery shopping, pet supply shopping, and we ordered some food. We got some Indian food for dinner last night. I got a vegetable curry. It had potatoes and peas. I can't remember what it was called, but it was pretty good. And we got veggie samosas as well. So I had a full vegetable dinner. No protein whatsoever. It was all veggies, vegetarian dinner from a Indian restaurant. Also naan bread. You take that naan bread, you dip it in your curry. Oh my God. There is nothing else like fresh made restaurant quality naan bread in a curry. It is super duper good. I love it. So that was absolutely delicious. And what else do we do? Well, one thing we didn't want to have to do, it's kind of annoying. So just recently, as recent as like less than a month ago, we had changed out like everything in the house for fall. So you know how you go from summer stuff to fall stuff? So one of the things that we had done is we had completely changed out like all the bedding and everything to be more heavier bedding for the fall. Well, yesterday Jasper Kitty decided he had to barf on the bed. Ha 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 ha. Like, well, time for a full-on cleaning. So we had to clean not only, the sheets and everything, but the comforter, the mattress pad, everything had to be fully washed. Oh man. So we had to clean all that, that's just an endeavor, because that's like multiple loads. You can't, our comforter's a huge comforter. You can't wash that with sheets. It clogs the actual washer up. So you gotta be like, first a load for the comforter, then a load for the sheets, then a load for the mattress pads. So it's like washing clothes for hours and hours all day. Takes forever. So we had to do that as well. And other stuff. So it was a fun day. We ended up watching, we ended up watching one person play some Starfield. And we ended up watching another person, of all things, play some Dark Souls 3. We were just kind of bored. We were like, what do we want to do? Let's just randomly open some playthroughs and things and, see what's going on. And it's funny because, again, I keep telling you guys, I never used to watch anyone else's playthroughs. I never used to watch anyone else's playthroughs at all. Okay, now that I actively start to watch other people's playthroughs, and by the way, we always try to watch people who are much bigger than me. Because, you know, you're trying to absorb, okay, how do the big guys do it? How do the people who are supposedly so popular and so prominent, how do they do it different from darksydephil? 9 times out of 10, it's way worse than my playthrough. I'm watching this guy play Dark Souls 3. He's got the worst quality. It's like you could tell he was probably a Twitch streamer at the time in 2016, and all this is the archived Twitch stream. So it's a low-ass bitrate. And this is a prominently known streamer, known for playing Soulsborne games, and he's playing it and it is fucking pixelated and blurry as shit. The quality is just not good. And he's got a face cam, and the face cam is completely fucked up and like also low quality. You know, his gameplay is great. Like watching the gameplay, like this guy's really good at it. You could tell he learned right away. He's doing really well. He's kicking ass, you know. He's going through Dark Souls 3. He's just beating the tough ass enemies on the first or second try. You know, he's one-shotting bosses. Like, okay, this guy's really good at the game, but his quality is just shit. And this is what people like. This is a guy who, you know, back then was 10 times bigger than me. And this is what he put out, and everyone complained about me and my quality and everything, saying that my stuff sucked, and here's what this guy put out. And we're watching this other guy, he's playing Starfield. And I shit you not. Alright, everyone complains about my playthroughs. This guy spends half his time dicking around in a game doing nothing meaningful. He's not doing missions. He's fucking around. He's messing with this system. He's messing with that system. He spent like an hour trying to build a ship. It was like watching paint dry. And he's fucking going through menus trying to dick around with this and that. It's like, there's a guy, again, much bigger than me. This guy was one of the people. He gets all the games early. He got invited out to all these events. Guy's butt kissed by all these companies. He gets exclusive paid sponsored videos, right? And it's the most boring fucking thing I've ever watched. We couldn't continue to watch it. We were so bored. And like this fucking guy, million view guy, right? And the fucking thing is awful. And this is what people put out, but everyone shits on me. It says my stuff sucks, like you're out of your fucking mind. If anything, what this proves is that I'm not saying I'm the best gamer out there. No, I'm never, not saying that at all. But when people all these time have been saying that stuff stinks or whatever, it's not true. My stuff's been decent. It hasn't been the best, but it's been decent. You know, at very least. Especially when the people who are, you know, million view people are not fucking doing anything above and beyond what I do at all. In any way. In fact, like I said, a lot of them are more boring or lower quality. But, you know, I'm the one who gets fucking yelled at and told them I suck and all this just because they're fuck faces. These are just people who are trying to bring me down and they think that it affects me. But, you know, it's stupid because I listened to that all these years. I really did. I listened to it and I thought, man, I guess that my stuff really is low quality. Everyone else is doing something so different. And now, like I said, the last couple of years, my wife and I have started watching these other content creators and streamers, and we watch them and we're like, this is absolutely ridiculous what you're saying. They're just full of shit. That stuff is no better than mine. It's just that they're popular. They don't have a fucking crazy hater base, you know. It's kind of wild. But I mean, for perspective purposes, you know, me 3-4 streams in the Starfield, I've already completed major storylines. I'm into faction quest lines. Here's a guy, he played like 15 hours of Starfield. And he didn't even do anything. He's just fucking around. You know, he didn't even do anything interesting. It's, wow, what a great playthrough, huh? Anyway, that was my day off, pretty much that cover. I would say that covers pretty much everything that I did.